So we're back at it again at the Krispy Kremes. No, sorry. No, we're back at it again with Don't Fear the Reaper by TotallyNotABrony. And we're on chapter
Come on,
6.
baby, don't fear the... Sorry.
And we're on to chapter 6. They don't even fucking subtitle this shit. It's just chapter 6. And there's a 10 chapter thing. We
hmm
went through 1 to 5 last night. Now we can finish it up again, hopefully. With like 9 people. Okay. The next morning, found Sonata thumbing through Abacus Cinch's copy of How to Win Friends and Influence People. She wasn't sure why she cared. Surely it didn't take an entire book to say be stronger than them. Maybe that wouldn't actually get her friends, but why does she need those? She wasn't a changeling that needed love, for fuck's sake. She was experiencing a few unusual biological effects from a steady diet of blood. For one, she was always thirsty. Blood was salty. Aside of that, her body seemed to adapt it quite well. A human wouldn't have fared so well. She smiled to herself. Once she took over the planet, then what? She'd have to get a hobby or something. Maybe start a collection. She already has Cinch's book and the park ranger's gun, though taking their lives has been a lot more productive. Sonata cocked her head. She thought she heard a quiet conversation from somewhere else in the house. She got up off her bed and went downstairs. Adagio and Aria were sitting at the kitchen table. Aria's hand shook as she smoked. Sonata was pleased to see that Adagio's face took on a wary expression when she entered her room. So, how does it feel to be back at the top of the food chain? Sonata asked. She couldn't help adding, well, almost at my level. We can't do something like that again, says Adagio. Did you wake up on the moron side of the bed? Don't you like this? Murdering people and drinking their blood, said Aria. Yes? Adagio glanced at Aria before turning back to Sonata. She looked like she was going to say something that Sonata would make her regret, but softened the tone to Sonata's disappointment. We've never done anything like this before. It wouldn't be a good idea to just rush it, like last night. Somebody's going to notice that guy's car when he left. Maybe they'll even remember that he left with us. Being careful never hurt anyone. With this much power, why does it matter? Adagio said, what part of 7 billion of them and 3 of us don't you understand? Seeing a flash of fire in Sonata's eyes, she quickly backpedaled. I'm just saying, we've been waiting for so many years. It won't hurt to take a little while to make sure we do this right. We can be the strongest on the planet, and if we plan carefully, we can take over before anyone realizes what we're doing. Okay, how? Sustainability, said Arya. When Sonata stared at her, she quickly added, I know that sounds like some sort of recycling buzzword, but it's just not sustainable to kill people on the street. If we keep doing that, someone will eventually notice. What, are we supposed to keep them penned up like the livestock they are? Sonata said. She put her hand to her chin. You know, that could actually work pretty well. We'll grab someone, keep him locked up, slowly bleed him dry over a couple of days. We can make the most of it. Arya and Dashi traded glances. We're gonna need a holding facility. We can use the garage. We'll chain them up, get some containers storing the blood. We also have to come up with advanced techniques of inflicting fear and negative emotions. Ooh, if we grab 2 at once, we could play them off each other like that movie Saw. Maybe get some psychoactive drugs that could heighten the emotions. We could work them up slowly, like basting a turkey. Her mouth was wandering at the thought, and not the turkey. Fear turkey, though.
Oh, God.
That's right, I'm gonna fuck the fear turkey.
How did I know that was coming up? Does it actually say that?
Yep, fear turkey, though.
I like the references they throw in here. It's pretty cool.
Are we really doing this? Said Arya quietly. Do you have a better idea to get us our power back? Sonata challenged. She put her hands on her hips and stared at both of them. Neither met her eyes. Right. We need to do a few things first. Daji, be a dear, and go bury what's left over from last night. Excuse me. Why me? Because Ari, so I swung her gaze to Arya, is going to help me plan a sustainable harvesting operation. Harvesting operation? I call it murder and is... Oh shit, this is a hard word for me. I only got a high school
What is it?
education. It's sanguination, I think.
Insanguination.
There we go. If you want. Adagio abruptly got up and left the room. Sonata heard her pause for breath in the garage before heading out of the house. They didn't own a shovel, and Sonata smirked at the thought of Adagio on her knees, burying the scraps of a human being with her hands. Damn, Sonata, you was scary. She then turned to Arya, looking at the table. So, who is our next target? Arya swallowed. Well, we have to be careful. We can't just take anyone out of the crowd. No shit. But maybe we could use that to our advantage. Arya flinched. There are lots of people at, say, the mall, but there are also a lot of places behind the scenes we can use. Like a hidden utility hallway, says Sonata, considering. The two of you could herd a meal behind a door and we'll grab them. Maybe pick somebody who knows us so they'll be scared and trying to get away and go through the door all by themselves. Adagio returned and Arya quietly told her plan. Sonata was flipping through her music and trying to find something perfect for the moment. She didn't notice when Adagio went to shower the dirt off and a flash of anger across her face. We were going to the mall. And again, smelling like death will probably attract unwanted attention. Sonata was in the bathroom when Adagio stepped out of the shower, though. Criminy, can you wait? Sonata thrust a hoodie into her hands a little harder than necessary. No, you wait on me. Get dressed. We're going now, and make it snappy. A few minutes later, Sonata met the other two in her car. All dressed down, hoods, nondescript colors. Sonata plugged in her phone. What began to play? Courtesy Call by Thousand Foot Crutch. Never heard of that one. It fits, she decided. She and her sisters were going to let the world know just who they were and what they could do. The plan came together surprisingly, well, once they got to the mall. Sonata parked her car near the loading dock and waited for her sisters to go inside and find someone. In only a few minutes, a girl burst through the nondescript door of the public area of the mall and slammed it behind her. Hi. The girl froze, turning slowly. Sonata recognized her as Diamond Tiara, a young Candlelight High student. Kind of a bitch, too. Oh, shit.
Bye-bye.
Diamond Tiara is getting her comeuppance. Daji and Arya came through the door and closed it, trapping Diamond between the three of them. We're going on a little drive. No, Diamond shouted. Well, I tried. Sonata cocked her fist back. You know, I didn't want to have to do this. Sonata rolled her eyes. Oh, wait, yes I did. And then slugged Diamond across the face. And there was a crack as the punch connected. Diamond fell and Sonata inspected her fists. Nothing broke. Did she broke Diamond's face? Couldn't have happened to a better candidate. She bent down and grabbed her ankles. Sonata looked up. You gonna stand there or you gonna move your worthless asses and help me? She could have carried Diamond slung on her one arm without bringing a sweat, but it was the principle of it. Adagio and Arya quickly moved to grab Diamond's arms. They got her out to the car and stuffed her in the trunk. Diamond's face was swelling now under her eye where Sonata hit her. After a quick trip back home, they strung Diamond up in the garage, tying her arms towards the rafters with bed sheets. Sonata splashed some water on her face, and Diamond started to come around, moaning in pain. Her eyes, where Sonata hit her, didn't seem to be working correctly. Almost looked sunken in her skull. Sonata realized she must have broken Diamond's cheekbone and eye socket, letting the eye fall out of place. Oh.
Oof.
What'd Diamond say, voice small? You should have been taken by us three sirens, and we're going to torture you and drink your blood as you bleed to death because it's more fun than just eating you. I have money. We're a triple income household with 1,000 years interest on long-term investments. Fuck your money. My dad? Fuck your dad. And his money. Oh, you don't understand. It's millions. Oh, why didn't you say so? Well, let me just go get my computer. We'll make this transaction, huh? So, what's the account number? Diamond ended up giving it to her. She punched it and wanted the dark websites. Look at that. It's a pretty big number for a little lady like you, but you know what? Sonata put down the computer carefully and then screamed in Diamond's face. I don't fucking care. You're worthless, a piece of meat. You cannot do anything to buy, bargain, or play your way out of this. I'm pregnant, she then whispered. She kept crying, one eye still worked, staring at the floor. Dad, he's telling me to keep it secret, but I'm 17. My boyfriend, he... And then she started bawling.
Mm-hmm.
Arya walked quickly out of the garage and
Turn
into the house. Adagio glanced at Sonata and hurried after her. And then she went after them. Both are in the kitchen. Arya stood with her arms clenched around her, looking like she was pulled so tight around a pound of tension would have ripped her apart. Adagio's face spelled out her worries, though it wasn't clear what she was mostly concerned about. What's with you? We can't kill a kid. Hello, we're 1,000 years old. Everyone's a kid. And a baby. It's not the same, but... Okay, last night we killed an Ada man. Tonight just happens to be a teenage girl that you two picked out, remember? What's the issue? Sexism, the stupidest problem we could have. They both made small noises that could have meant anything. So I reached into the silverware drawer and pulled up the biggest knife that was inside and turned, walking back out to the garage. Diamond saw her come in, reacting to the knife by trying to jerk away as far as her restraint allowed. Please. Okay. She pulled out Diamond's shirt and sliced it off with a knife. Then she did the same to skirt and panties. Then Sonata started cutting Diamond's flesh. She screamed immediately and didn't even stop. The erratic expansion of her lungs was making it difficult for Sonata to get the knife where she wanted it to go. Oh God. This is gonna get dark.
Hooray!
She started at the lips of Diamond's vagina, made a little
I knew
quirk,
this.
made a little quirk around the clit, sliced upward across the belly, trying to gauge what was deep enough and what was too deep. As it turned out, Sonata got it perfect on the first try as it spilled blood and amniotic fluid over Diamond's front and the floor. She reached inside and rummaged around until she found what she was looking for and yanked. Diamond certainly wasn't very far along. The fetus was the size of a rat. It didn't move, it didn't respond, being clenched in Sonata's bloody fist. She looked at it briefly before ripping the umbilical cord free and tossing it over her shoulder. Diamond, still screaming and still bleeding, sagged in her restraints. Sonata was surprised that she was still conscious, and the pain and fear wafting off her was incredible. I can't even English, shit. Ugh. Looking at the cut she had made, a thought struck her. Here was an avenue she had never explored. She crouched and ran her tongue over the incision, bottom to top. Diamond's eyes were squeezed shut, but she felt it and pulled even harder to get away. She kept pressing deeper and deeper. She reached forward, parted the skin with her fingers, probing inside Diamond's torn uterus. She had her head inside before realizing it. She mentally shrugged and started chewing. Delicious. Well, I wonder how many people are regretting this fucking choice, huh?
I'm gonna ask. Hey guys, how many people regret coming in here tonight? I don't.
I think we scared 2 people away. We just dropped to 7. So, how about chapter 7?
Okay.
The sun was
It
shining
only
bright.
goes straight down from here.
Yes.
No brakes on this train, goes straight down. The hell, you know.
The sun.
You want to go ahead?
Yeah. Hang on. Ugh.
Okay.
The sun was shining bright and the birds were singing as the girls met for the afternoon, going into Sugar Cube Corner. Oh, looks like we're dealing with the Humane 6. Or 7. Fuck it. Pinkie Pie came out of the back, taking off her apron. Dropping a quarter in a jukebox, and an old Gloria Gaynor song began to play. Probably I Will Survive. Probably not. Piggy was sitting down with Sunset, Rainbow, Rarity, Applejack, and Fluttershy. She assured them the goodies should be ready soon. Sunset smiled briefly. Thanks. Think we all might need a pick-me-up. So horrible, whispered Fluttershy. 2 disappearances in a week. 3, technically. The park ranger vanished the same night as Microchip. The 2 murders over in Crystal City, Rarity pointed out. Even for Crystal City, that's a bit much for 1 week. I'm not saying they're connected to the disappearing of students from Canterlot High, but it seems certainly suspicious. Something's up, Rainbow agreed. That's why I called you here today, Sunset said. Something's happening to our classmates and to other people, and we can't let this go any further. So what are we supposed to do, said Applejack. We ain't exactly the planet's official defenders of truth, justice, apple pie, and love. Speak for yourself, said Pinky. Oh. Sunset raised her hands. I know, this is a matter of police, but I think we should all keep our eyes open. Kidnapping and murder is a little more serious than even magic mind control. But if it came down to it, who else is better qualified than us? Sorry I'm late, said Twilight, rushing up. She sat down to adjust her glasses. What did I miss? Oh, there's Sidetwi now. Cool. We were just getting started, said Sunset. And then she briefly summarized the problem. I think my brother's working on that, said Twilight. As a police officer, he probably shouldn't tell me the details, but maybe I could convince him that I could be used as a consultant like any number of fictional detectives. Well, when you put it that way, that doesn't sound like a good idea, said Rainbow. It worked for Castle! Well,
Are they just flinging pop culture references back and forth here?
Little. Well, who else would know better than the police on what's going on, said Sunset. I agree Shining Armor probably has rules against giving civilians details. I'm sure he doesn't want his sister or friends getting involved, but knowledge is power. Couldn't have said it better myself, said Twilight. She frowned. I'll just have to convince him. Hold on, said Rarity. Are we really doing this? Taking on murderers? I just want to be informed, said Sunset. So do I, but isn't it illegal, said Applejack. So is vigilantism, said Sunset. I understand. I'm not saying we should hunt down the killers, but what if we were the ones who could? We have something that nobody else does. The power of friendship, said Fluttershy. Exactly. I wouldn't want to have anything to happen to any of you or anyone else. In the background, the jukebox played I Will Survive.
How did I know?
I knew it!
Nice.
Protecting people is what the police do, Twilight reminded Sunset. I'll assign you a few questions to see if there's anything we could use to help keep us safe. And he won't tell me anything, well, there isn't anything we could do to force him. Sunset nodded. I understand. Even if that's the case, we still have each other. As long as we're together, there's no problem we can't solve. Meanwhile... There! Problem solved, says Sonata, showing her sisters the bloody aborted baby that she ripped out of Diamond Tiara. Oh good, we're back at this grim fucking scene again.
Hooray.
Adagio spun and vomited all over the floor. Aria seemed to collapse into herself, covering her face with her hands and turning her back. I guess Diamond was telling the truth about being pregnant after all, said Sonata. She licked a little blood that trickled past the mouth, her whole head being covered after sticking inside Diamond's abdominal cavity, eating her from the inside out. Sonata turned and lined up on the kitchen trash can. Gave the fetus a toss and it went straight in. Nothing but that. Adagio was on her hands and knees, heaving. It looks like there wasn't anything left in her stomach, though. Arya's legs had collapsed, and it was only by splaying her upper body across the kitchen counter that she was still vaguely upright. Neither of them would look at Sanada. Holy shit. I think I'm getting a little bit of joy just seeing Adagio and Arya just wincing. I can relate to those two now.
With all Molly's jokes and whatnot, I suppose, yeah.
The fuck's
Right.
wrong with you two, said Sanada. And it was perhaps 10 seconds before Arya was able to get up, take a deep breath, and demanded, "What is wrong with you?" Sanada spread her hands, blood dripping everywhere. Just, generating fear that the three of us need to get our power back and take control of this little marble called Earth. Pardon me for doing what you couldn't. There has to be a better way, Adagio muttered, finding the strength to stand, and wiped her lips. Well, we tried picking up guys at bars, and he didn't like that either. I can't keep carrying you two. You aren't, Adagio protested. I'm sorry, but which one of us masterminded a return to glory and is willing to bring your sisters along? Who's the stupid, incompetent one now? The truly clever don't announce it with the grace of a freight train raping a barrel of monkeys, said Arya. You hear that one off the internet? That's a new one. The grace of a freight train raping a barrel of monkeys. Arya flushed, but she still glared at Sanada. Adagio piled on. I've never seen something so disgusting in 1,000 years. What kind of utter abomination are you? You think I... Sanada stared, just too stunned to speak. Then she abruptly stepped forward and slapped Adagio so hard it took her sister right off her feet. Adagio hit the floor, cheeks splashing in her own vomit. Let me tell you how this is going to go. I've shown you the way. If you won't follow me, I'll gladly leave you behind. But we're sisters, Arya breathed. So? Several seconds passed in utter silence. Adagio got up quietly, wiping her face off with her sleeve. Sanada was pleased to see that the smirk had finally vanished from her face. Just because you two did such a good job selecting the last morsel, why don't you pick again, said Sanada. She grinned. Adagio and Arya traded a look. A man, said Adagio, for the challenge. What do you think I can't handle, a man? Sanada said. Just something different, said Arya quickly. Someone who can run and fight a challenge. I'm impressed, said Sanada. Who do you think we should pick? Adagio and Arya glanced at each other. Sanada threw her arms up around them and both cringed. Look at us working together, Dajiari and Sani, ready to take on the world. I think we should absolutely go after someone like that, and I know exactly who. Authors know that 10% don't allow their cleverness with the grace of a freight train raping a barrel of monkeys. Quoted by Majin Seiko, who did the previous fucking story.
It's nice. It's awesome, actually.
Alright, time for Chapter 8. We're at the halfway mark, I think. Flash Sentry was quite pleased that during the summer the hardest decision he had to make was which guitar strings to buy. Oh boy, I think he's our next victim.
Hooray.
The enthusiasm of a guy hopped up on fucking antidepressants. I don't know about you, so.
Try to be quiet, damn it. Don't make fun of me.
He spent a lot of time down at the music shop, and it seemed like everyone in Candlelight High knew how to find him there. Which is why he shouldn't have been surprised to turn around from the guitar string display, running smack into Sanada Dusk. Quite literally. Bounced off her and fell back against the wall. Sorry, I should have paid more attention. Oh, yeah. Hang on. Ooh. There we go. Sorry, I should pay more attention, she said pleasantly, grinning. Flash remained flattened against the wall. I didn't expect to see you here. Well, it's the best music store in town, and I'm a bit of an audiophile, she said. Huh. Sonata took a step back, and he relaxed enough to stop cringing away from her. He turned and maneuvered past Sonata towards his door. So, what are you doing later? Sonata asked. It was delicious how his shoulders tensed up as if she cracked a whip. I'm busy, he said before he turned the door. Sonata caught the attention of Adagio and Aria, who had been over at the counter distracting the owner, and the three of them followed Flash. He wasn't too hard to spot. He was the only guy with blue hair and a guitar slung over his shoulder in sight. Sonata crossed the street, walking quickly. Adagio and Aria followed along behind Flash. He got to his tricked-out Camaro, but saw the cut in the front tire. Casting a worried glance behind him, the two sirens were clearly visible. He started across the street, but pulled up short, spotting Sonata. Flash turned and fast-walked to the alley behind him. Sonata grinned, like herding cattle. She rejoined the other two, and they followed Flash deeper into the maze of side streets. Alleys so convenient, keeping prey boxed in, Sonata thought. Flash suspected he was in trouble when he reached a dead end. He knew he was in trouble when the three sirens cornered him and told him so. So, we're going to do very bad things to you, said Sonata. They spread out, blocking his only means of escape. Tall buildings on both sides pinned him in, and the dumpster blocked the way in front. Flash vaulted the dumpster and took off as a sprint. He should have had the good sense to drop his guitar. It may have helped him run faster. The sirens had even given him a head start. He used the graciously provided time to run like the wind, wet his pants, and sent a text message. He hadn't made it 2 blocks when the sirens caught up. His leather jacket seems to be fingernail-proof in spite of their clutching hands. When they discovered that, they simply tripped him. Flash's jacket and jeans kept him from losing too much skin on the pavement, but with 3 ancient monsters bearing down on him, there was a relatively mild concern. Of course, he'd already pissed himself, so it was pretty clear that he was past worrying about the little things. Holy shit. I knew he was such a weenie just pissing his pants. Holy shit. We're really bashing the waifu fucking stealer.
I think that was the point.
He shouted, "Stop! Why did they think saying that would work?" says Sonata. Every time it's been like that. "Stop!" Flash repeated. "I don't consent." "Consent to what?" "I think he thinks we're going to do something sexual," said Arya. I'm starting to think the author kills characters they do not like. Says one of the guys in the chat.
I actually think that's true.
Sonata bursted out laughing. "Oh, fucking shit, that's the funniest thing I've heard in years. You thought we were going to rape you?" "A little," said Flash, looking between the 3 of them. "Or not, but I can rip your dick off if that makes you feel better." Sonata grabbed his crouch, and Flash reflexively curled up. "Hold him," Sonata ordered. Adagio and Aria grabbed his limbs. "Now, the truth is we're going to bleed you to death. Okay, I didn't make it sexual, but the penis is a place with a lot of blood flow, right? Blood part is important because we're going to drink yours." "I thought you ate emotions or something." Punching him in the mouth until he shuts up. A moment passed, and she looked up, glaring at the other two. Adagio made a fist and socked him across the face. He might have pubic hair. He's that old, right? He's in high school. I think it means he's old enough. If we're going to keep doing this, do you think we should know more about people?" said Adagio. "Well, let's find out." She ripped open Flash's jeans, and they were made of tissue paper. "Yep, looks it. Yeah, I'm not putting my face anywhere near that. I gotta still rip this off, though. I bet I would get a great reaction from him. He might also bleed out too quickly," Arya pointed out. Sonata weighed her options, stretching Flash's organ as far as it would go. His eyes were wide and his back arched up, trying desperately to relieve the pain. Sonata let go of Flash's penis, and since it was on display, grabbed a scrotum and crushed it. Squished and bulged between her fingers like putty.
Okay, ow. I'm cringing to the left.
Yeah, fucking hell. Flash made the
Yeah,
sound like...
God damn it. The description of that is even worse than the Mortal Kombat X-ray move that Johnny Cage does. It's worse. I can't believe I'm saying that.
Flash made it sound like a dying frog and didn't have time to ride the pain before passing out. Not supposed to be a really sensitive spot, says Adagio. Not like I knew that, says Sonata. What, are you fucking Earth guys now? I think any world you go to, testicles are pretty sensitive. Do you not know that? Why would I need to? Arya lightly slapped Flash's face. He started to wake up, tears running down his cheek before his eyes even opened. The little noises now are a lot higher pitched. Okay, that was round one. What should we do next? Says Sonata. The question hung in the air for a moment before Adagio and Arya realized she was asking them. He's already scared shitless. Can't you smell it? Smell? Oh, the fear. It was pretty enticing, Sonata has to admit. But I think we can do better. He hasn't literally shit himself. Really? Ew. Okay, fine. We'll make sure he doesn't. One plug coming up. Flash saw it. Judging by his expression, he didn't fully believe what she was insinuating, but his imagination was running wild just like Sonata wanted it to. And in some cases, nightmares do come true. And in the cases of Flash's rectum, turning pegs will absolute shred intestine walls when the neck of a guitar is roughly shoved inside. Everything else the sirens did to him was worse than that.
Actually, I agree with Famous Horse here. Well, it's just a constant gentle mutilation. Oh my god.
Sunset Shimmer glanced down at her phone. Meanwhile, she already knew from the ringtone of You Give Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi. It literally has the lyrics to fucking that. That it was from Flash Century. She signed and looked at the text he had sent her. Her brow furrowed. One word. Sirens. What do you mean? She texted back. Minutes passed and Flash didn't reply. Growing concerned, Sunset sent a text to Brawley Beats, Flash's drummer. He responded shortly saying Flash had gone to the music store. Sunset got on her motorcycle and rode down there. A quick conversation with the store clerk revealed exactly what Sunset had feared. Adagio, Arya, and Sonata followed Flash out of the store. Flash was her ex, but nobody deserved to be cornered by monsters. Didn't fit the pattern to go after just one person, though. What were they doing anyway? The neck gems have been shattered, their powers are stripped. Sunset got back on her motorcycle, seeing Flash's car parked just down the street, and upon approaching it, noticed a flat tire. She stopped the bike and checked her phone, and no reply still. If the sirens had actually taken him, where were they gone? Sunset eyed the alley next to Flash's car and turned her bike down it. Not 2 minutes later, something lumpy on the ground came to view. It took Sunset a moment to process what she was seeing. To her horror, she realized it was a body, and the red splotches everywhere were spilled blood. She jumped off the motorcycle, not bothering to set the kickstand. Pulled out her phone to call emergency services. Hurrying over, she saw to her ever-increasing horror that it was Flash, and he had been... And that sentence trails off. Before saying, Sunset's hands went to her face, and her knees hit the ground.
And she sneezed as well.
No, that was me.
I know, I was kidding. That was bad, I'm sorry.
Oh well. Now on to Chapter 9. To put it bluntly, Flash Century had died a horrific death. Sunset could see that easily enough, though she'd taken one glance and threw up across the alley. Sunset hadn't wanted to stay at the scene with the police, but she felt like she should. If there was anything she could do to help catch whoever done this, she was going to do it. If there was much physical evidence, it was probably on Flash's body or spread in the pool of blood around it. She didn't want to look. The police and medical examiners probably wouldn't let her anyway. She just squeezed her eyes shut, heart palpitating in terror. Why was she so scared? It was such a horrific act, but now Sunset was surrounded by police. She should be horrified, revolted, sickened and hopeless, but the current danger was past. Sunset realized that it wasn't her fear. She concentrated harder. It was in the air, still hanging around after Flash had been killed. The whole magical girl thing came with many unexpected facets, but Sunset didn't think she could detect post-mortem emotions unless there was some powerful force behind them. She pictured what was left of Flash again and immediately regretted it. What kind of person could have perpetrated such a brutal attack? Who could be strong enough to hold down an athletic high schooler and utterly destroy him? Sunset swallowed hard. Who or what? She thought about the last text that she had. Sirens. Once the police had taken her statement, she walked numbly back to the busy street. A crowd of people, photographers, reporters, onlookers, had gathered at the police tape. A couple of them tried to talk to her, but she ignored them. She got back on her motorcycle and rode to Sugar Cube Corner. She nearly got in an accident on the way, but couldn't even spare the emotion to feel bad about it. Her thoughts were elsewhere. Pinky was at the counter when Sunset came in and saw the look on Sunset's face. Had something happened? Sunset fell into a booth and put her hand in her head. Pinky came over. Sure looked like he was cheering up. Hey, did you hear the one about the mermaid band? She raised her head. Pinky grinned. They weren't good. They couldn't even tune a guitar. Sunset bursted out crying. Oh my gosh! I'm sorry, what did I say? Between sobs, Sunset managed to get out. Flash is dead! Murdered! Pinky grabbed her phone and called the others, and they were there in minutes. By the time they arrived, Sunset had managed to stop her tears, but if anything, she looked worse. Fortunately, she didn't have to explain. The news have already hit the internet, and they're all quietly reading the report on the phones. I think the sirens did this, said Sunset, finally. If so, then there is much different pattern for them, said Twilight. I can't imagine how something this terrible could have happened. Can't let them do this again, she said. What if they were also behind the other deaths and disappearances? A few seconds passed as that sank into the other girls' minds. What about the police, said Fluttershy. I told them what I knew, said Sunset. Even if they'd believe me, I don't think about what might happen in a confrontation. The sirens have powers. More people could die. Wait, didn't we take their magic away at the Battle of the Bands? Sunset shuddered. I don't know what's happening, but they're a lot stronger than humans. I don't know what we're dealing with. The police even have police have even less ideas. What can we do? I think it would be wise to never go any place alone, said Twilight. I start working on something that might help. If they have any residual magic, maybe we can detect it. Emotion, said Sunset. That's what I noticed at the scene. It was so strong that I felt it, and I'm just a unicorn in a human body. Sirens do feed on negative energy, like you told us, said Twilight. It's possible they found some new way to use that. Sunset opened her mouth, and with some effort goes out. Torture? The table fell silent. Carefully, Twilight said. If that's the case, then we have a pattern. Something we can look for and figure out. But what are we going to do when we find them, said Applejack. If they're so dangerous, we need a plan. We'll just do the magic rainbow laser thing like always, right, said Pinky. She looked at Sunset, who was still wearing a frown. Right? I don't know if that will work, said Sunset. We've already stripped them of their magic. What else can we do? We showed them the magic of friendship, said Rarity. And then Sunset snapped. They ate his brain! I'm not even sure if that's the worst thing they did to him! Other people in Sugar Geek Corner had turned to look. Sunset winced, closing her eyes. She shook her head and continued quietly. When I tried to take over the school, I was misguided. I didn't know what I was missing. The magic of friendship showed me the way, but now we've already used that on the sirens and apparently it didn't work. What if it's just simply evil? I don't know if anyone is truly evil, said Twilight. Oh, okay. Somebody suggested in the chat a pump action shotgun solves all problems.
Yeah, that's why I was laughing a little bit.
Anyways, I don't know if anyone is
Fine.
truly evil, said Twilight. Sunset looked locking eyes with her. You didn't see what they did to Flash. They're evil. Meanwhile, in her fitness studio downtown, Sonata was in a good mood, dancing to Aerosmith in the window while waiting for customers. Wore her usual spandex and lycra, pink over indigo. More than a few people had stared at her as they walked by outside, vaguely intentional to attract customers. Mostly Sonata was just giddy and energetic after eating Flash. I met a cheerleader, was a real young bleeder, old times I could reminisce. And speaking of, her first appointment walked through the door. Lemon Zest was a student at Crystal Prep. Oh, fuck. She still had that high school listlessness when under Sonata's tutelage was getting toned and maturing. She was driven and had made more progress than just about any other client. She also wore headphones most of the time and so missed most of the backhanded things Sonata said. Sonata smiled while Lemon turned away to put her on her bag and take off her sweats. What fun it would be to pull her out of her own little world and show her how things really were, to see her reaction when she learned that the top of the food chain is shifted. And then Tire Tracks walked in, breathing already hard. Sonata glanced at him in annoyance, only partially feigned. The fat man had an appointment, and that interrupted what Sonata had in mind. She could kill them both. She'll have to put a curtain on the window, though. A thrill went up her spine at the thought of drinking her blood within feet of unknown people outside. All she had to do was turn up the music a little and gag them. But then, Sonata's phone rang. Considering it's connected to the sound system, it was hard to ignore. Muttering on her breath, she went to answer it. The caller was Arya. Sonata, I just saw the news. Sunset Shimmer was at the scene. What? She must have gotten there only a little while later, or maybe she even found it. That was a question. What are you talking about? The place where Flash Sentry was, said Arya, seeming to censor herself. Was she worried about being overheard, or was that making her some chumpy? What about it? There's a new article. I saw one of the photos. Sunset was there. She knows what happened to him. So now the rainbows are on to the murderers that have been happening. Sonata paused for several minutes. Sonata? I'm coming home. We'll talk. Sonata ended the call and announced, We're closed today. Get out. What? Said Lemon, taking off her headphones. Sonata barely resisted the urge to snap her neck right then and there. She closed up studio and went home. The other two were waiting. Arya said at this point it's safe to say the Rainbooms know or suspect there's a series of killings that are connected. And it's personal to them, added Audacio, since it was their classmates. She gestured a printout of the picture of Sunset at the scene. She went off to the side, on the inside of the police tape. Look at her face, she's emotionally connected. So the Rainbows are going to get involved. That doesn't mean they know it was us. Arya showed her phone. This was Flash's. The last text he sent was to Sunset. She showed Sonata the phone. Flash managed to get his message out. Well, still, what are they going to do? Or know what they're capable of? It's not going to hurt us. Plus, they have to find us. If anything, this gives us the advantage because we can now pick our moment to strike, and we can even set a trap for them and lure them. They aren't stupid. Even if they aren't, they're still mortal. If we take out even one of them, the rest aren't going to be nearly as effective. Sonata grinned with teeth on full display. And can you imagine how revenge will taste? I only got one person at the bar. Oh well. Now for the final chapter. We're on the final chapter. We're almost done, and it's 10:06. At least when
you definitely are lucky to come. Hey, why don't we give a little recap for the people listening?
Sonata's a murderer and drinks blood. That's it. And now the human ponies are in on it. They know what's going on, really. They know the sirens are up to this. They're probably going to try to do something. Sunset wrote furiously in her journal. The words on the page appear in parallel on the pages of a book owned by Princess Twilight Sparkle of Equestria. Twilight's replies showed up in Sunset's book. I can't bring in a whole contingent of the elements of harmony, magical scholars, and royal guards. Oh, yeah. Yeah, not even just the 6 of us girls could come up with the emergency portal spell we developed. We need to do something. Friendship didn't work here. I thought it stopped the sirens from spreading negative emotion, but now they're literally murdering people. The princess did not reply for nearly a minute. I finally wrote, when he first told me, I didn't believe it. I still haven't been able to determine what could make them do that. Sunset had no idea either. Monsters they may have been, but equestrian threats were rarely deadly. Could it have been the influence of being on Earth? Had that been what happened to her while she tried to take over? After all, even non-magical humans kill each other all the time. Sunset's shoulders tensed. Had being here only made them worse, or was it simply their decision? How could they possibly have made that choice? Was it out of desperation? Did the sirens think that what they were doing was wrong, or did they simply have different morals? Sunset had to shut her eyes tight and put her hands on her face. No, you're not rationalizing this. They're evil, period. I was trying to say book, but it says phone. Son of a bitch. Sunset's phone suddenly buzzed. She glanced at it, but did a double take at the number that had sent the text. She grabbed the phone and opened the message. Her eyes wide open. She picked up a pen, but then put it down and closed the journal. She had a plan. Princess Twilight wouldn't like it, but it had to be done. She sent a text to her friends, wording it carefully. Who's up for a snack at Sugar Cube Corner? Alright, I'm going to take a pause right here because I need to use the restroom real quick.
I'll keep them entertained.
Okay.
Or try to.
Moments later.
Let's fucking finish this shit. So we have Sonata relaxing in her bedroom, surfing the dark web. After getting Sunset Shimmer's phone number from Flash's phone, she found a way to break in and read text messages. Granted, there was only something to see when Sunset sent a text or something, but it still gave her an edge. She couldn't read the incoming text or listen in on phone conversations. She was still searching for another clandestine source for that. Arya had been helping her, but for a supposed computer expert, she hasn't been very useful. While Sunset met with her friends at Sugar Cube Corner, Sonata considered her next move. Hopefully, Sunset would eventually send a text that specified a convenient location so Sonata could take her out. With her little ear gone, the rainbooms would be useless. Sonata was looking forward to sampling them one by one, and she could hardly wait. Sonata navigated to a different place on the secure connection, a site with videos of people being butchered. Some of them came from terrorist propaganda videos, and some of them were cartel revenge messages. Some were produced for more selective audiences. She watched for perhaps an hour, paying attention to techniques. I should get a video camera, she decided. It'd be perfect, showing the Rainboom's tapes of their friends being eaten alive. In this case, maybe she should save Sunset for last. Sonata blinked and removed her hand from between her legs. Strange, she didn't know how it had ended up there. It's almost like she was a human watching porn. Shit! She was nearly fapping! Shit! What if she was actually getting turned on by this? Sonata had never thought of sex before. If sirens could even do it, which she somehow doubted. So, does that mean slaughter and drinking blood was what it took to get her off? What if she used blood and body parts in other ways? Sonata's brows furrowed at the thought, but then she shrugged. Well, if that's how it has to be. Just then, Sunset sent a couple of texts to her friends. After what we talked about earlier, we have to have one last sleepover and one last camp out before school starts. What if we combined them? I know none of us have time to go out to the woods, so what if we found a camping spot in town? There's a construction site near the school where they're building a new parking garage. A big concrete building will keep us out of the weather and be a safe place to stay. Let's meet up at 10 p.m. All 6 of them outdoors overnight. This was almost too good to be true. Dagiaria, Sonata called. Get ready! What do you want? Replied Adagio from downstairs. Sonata grinned and got up from her bed, going to meet them. They will want to hear this directly from her, so they'll know exactly who's in charge and who had just set them up for their revenge. Adagio and Aria listened quietly as Sonata laid out what they're going to be doing this evening. We know where they're going to be. There'll be no one else around. We'll sneak in and capture them in their sleep. Exactly how are you planning to do that? Said Adagio. We're outnumbered and they have magic. Well, we may have to bust a few chuckle fucks, said Sonata. She made a mental note to find time to think of better swears. I really want them all to watch us bleed out their friends slowly, but even half of them will still get plenty of tasty teenager to work with. No, said Adagio. Sonata glanced between the two of them and put her hands on her hips. What's going on? What are you talking about? You already got the plan to surprise them. What do you want us to say? Maybe they finally bowed to her strength. Sonata smiled. After they pulled us off and eliminated their strongest enemies, then there will be nothing to stop the 3 of them from taking over. The city, the country, the whole world. Pfft, fuck that. And she would be the most powerful of them all. Like hell you are going to deal with the whole world. Right, said Sonata, let's go. Just a minute, said Adagio. She pulled knives out of the kitchen drawers, handing one to Aria. Strong as she was, Sonata also recognized how threatening a blade could be. She took one for herself. There was no good way to carry it, but Sonata wasn't worried she would accidentally cut herself. It wasn't like she was a klutz. She wasn't even worried about the park ranger's gun that she tucked into her jeans just before leaving the room. They drove to the construction site, arriving a few minutes early. Aria opened up the trunk and pulled out a coil of rope. Sonata gave her a look. We're going to need to tie them up, Aria pointed out. We could have gotten here a little later, said Sonata, so we could sneak up on them while they're sleeping. All we had to do is wait, said Adagio. I think the basement of the parking garage could be a good place to wait, said Aria. It's quiet, with no windows, there's less chance of them spotting us. Sonata held up her phone. Good, I brought some music. She led them down the ramp into the depths of the underground level. There were a couple of switchbacks until they finally met with a blank concrete with the deepest corner. There were a few pieces of equipment that seemed to have brought by the construction workers. Sonata had been using her phone for light, but turned on a small construction lamp to save battery. They were far enough below the surface that the glow probably wouldn't even reveal their presence. Sitting on the floor near the wall were 3 white cardboard cups. Coffee, said Sonata, incredulously. She picked one up. It smells warm, and it smells like pumpkin spice. Who left these here? Adagio asked. How did they? Said Aria. Pumpkin spice flavored stuff isn't even sold during the summer. Sonata didn't care. There was a weird undertaste, but otherwise it was delicious. Adagio and Aria didn't touch the other drinks. With a few minutes to spare, Sonata put in her earbuds and wandered a few steps away towards the wall. She scrolled through her playlist, looking for something to get pumped, well, not too pumped. It would be good to be calm before the blood would send her heart racing. Kavinsky? Maybe? Sonata picked a song. She'd no sooner started the music than a lasso of rope dropped over her shoulders. A boot pressed into her back and the rope pulled tight, pinning her arms and ripping out her earbuds. Despite the binding, Sonata spun, finding Applejack on the other end of the rope and the rest of the rain boobs arrayed across the floor, ponied up and radiating magic, trapping the 3 sirens in the basement with their backs to the wall. Oh, I'm sorry. She wasn't trapped, they were. Sonata snarled. Applejack pulled harder, but she was no match. Sonata ripped the rope in 2 and grabbed Applejack by the leg, swinging her in a half circle to slam into a concrete wall. Something hit her like a pile driver between the shoulder blades, driving Sonata forward to smack into the wall herself. She spun, arms shouting out to backhand Rainbow Dash. The blow knocked the girl across the basement. Shit, We have a fight. Sonata started forward, shoulders up and fingers clawed. I put enough sleeping pills in the lattes to knock out a horse, Pinky said. Apparently that doesn't work on sirens, Rarity replied. We need to do something, Fluttershy shrieked. Applejack and Rainbow are hurt. Sonata didn't follow the conversation. Nothing these kids said or did could stop her. Her attention just snapped to Fluttershy as the girl rushed forward to where her 2 injured friends lay. Sonata sidestepped, shooting out a hand and hammering Fluttershy in the face hard enough to take her off her feet. Her nose collapsed around Sonata's fist, spraying blood. Sonata kept walking towards the others. She licked her fingers. No fear, but her worry was enough to tide her over. And was that a little spark of magic she detected? Stop, Sunset shouted, shielding some girl who looked a lot like Princess Twilight Sparkle. Why do they always say that, said Sonata, glancing to either side of Adachi and Arya. Both of them had their knives out, but they had done absolutely nothing with them. Well, come on! Do something! Sunset raised her hands, sparks of magic crackling off them. Sonata punched her in the abdomen. And to Sunset's credit, she took it better than any others, rolling with it and perhaps not even sustaining any broken bones. The force still sent her stumbling back, falling onto the floor. Sonata stepped forward and grabbed a new Twilight by the collar, lifting her clear off the floor. This one didn't pony up. She scrambled for some device that hung around her neck, but Sonata ripped it off and tossed it over her shoulder. The fear. Oh, fuck yes, this one's afraid. Sonata drove her fingers into Twilight's neck, the nails slicing through her skin and muscle. Twilight screamed to kick, her shoes doing nothing to Sonata's shins. Her hands grabbed at Sonata's clothes. Blood began to flow over her hands. Sonata smiled. The wound wouldn't kill Twilight, at least not yet. Sonata's probing fingers found a carotid artery. I don't know how to pronounce that. And literally held Twilight's life between your fingers. Twilight's desperate hands found the gun Sonata packed. Jerked it free, Sonata looked down. Twilight pressed the barrel against her stomach. The sound of the shot was nothing compared to the punch to Sonata's guts. She staggered, letting go of Twilight, who fell, firing twice more. The pain came so suddenly, Sonata couldn't even tell how many bullets hit. She went to her knees, not even seeing Twilight fall next to her. She touched her stomach, clothes soaked with blood. Her hands came up, desperately trying to clean it with her mouth. She tried to hold the blood in, fingers trying to find and plug bullet holes. Her own blood coated her legs, spreading across the floor. Sonata went to her face, tongue in concrete, desperately trying to scrape the blood back into her mouth. She felt lightheaded, but the pain was fading. Her fingers slipped out of the bullet holes. Sonata rolled her aside, staring at her stomach. The wound was closing. They couldn't stop her. Sonata jumped up, power swelling in her chest. A laugh came easily. She'd taken out more than half the rain boobs, and there was nothing they could do. She looked at Dodgy and Arya, and the two of them stared at her wide-eyed. What are you waiting for? Arya's knife slipped from her fingers, and Adagio took a step backwards. They were worthless. Sonata turned away. She was more powerful than them, than anyone. Sunset had gotten up, a book in her hands, pages glowing. Her eyes flashed white with magic, and her feet floating from the floor. She stared at Sonata, meeting her eyes. No fear. Ooh, are we about to get a hell of a fucking beatdown? It'd be awesome if it was true. I mean, am I right?
Is this out of character or whatever? I don't know.
I have no fucking clue. Sonata kept coming, passing Adagio and Arya. She reached forward. Sunset lifted a hand, activating the magic of a spell powerful enough that it distorted the air, it seemed. Sonata braced, but nothing happened. Emboldened once again, she shouted, "You can't do anything to me. You've tried once and you failed. I'm stronger than ever before. I'm stronger than you, and I will have my revenge." I know that feeling. Her voice magnitudes calmer than the situation merited. And I know you're wrong, concluded Sunset. A flash of light and invisible force hit Sonata like a tidal wave. She turned. Against the wall was a portal taller than her, glowing with magic and drawing her irresistibly towards it. Her shoes started to slide. Sanada turned and lunged forward, but made no headway. She dropped to a crouch, still sliding backwards, being drawn toward her fate. Sanada knew if she allowed herself to go through, she'd lose everything. Her place on this puny planet, strength, everything she had gained, everything she earned. Her fingernails scraped across the concrete, desperately trying to hold her in place. She pressed down until they tore out of the nail beds, but it wasn't enough. Her last out of strength wasn't good enough. Her entire body left the ground, the magic swirling around her body, dragging her to her fate. As she went backwards, she grabbed at Adagio and Aria, shouting, "Help me!" Both tried to duck, but Sonata's hands found them, dragging them with her. They struggled, but neither put up even half her fight. They were weak and she was strong. Sonata looked over her shoulder, everything in her field of vision as going white as she went through. The blinding light faded slowly. The force pulling on Sonata had stopped. She blinked. There was blue sky above, turning golden in the late afternoon. Her phone was somewhere in one of her pockets. The music had stopped working and the song played on. She sat up, ill-fitting clothing binding her body. Shoes came off, completely unsalted from hooves. Dash and Aria were nearby, similarly transformed into earth ponies. Sonata stared at them. "Why did you bring us to Adagio?" She blinked hard and screamed. "What did you do?" "You deserve it as much as me," Sonata shouted. "You were there. You drank blood too." "It was your idea," Aria pointed out. "You forced us. The portal didn't even affect Adagio and I, not until you grabbed us." "Oh, you're innocent?" says Sonata. "None of this would have happened if you two had helped me. I even knocked Sunset Shimmer down for you. A single stab would have won. There would have been nothing stopping us from taking over the rest of the world." Adagio got up. "None of this would have happened to start if it weren't for you." Sonata met her nose to nose, but Adagio wasn't backing down. "Look at us," Adagio snarled, gesturing to the open, featureless metal in which they now appeared. "We have nothing. We're broke, magicless, and mortal. All your fault, Sonata. We tried to stop you, but you dragged the two of us down with you, you foolish, self-serving monster!" Adagio turned and stormed away. Aria didn't even spare Sonata a glance before following her. The wind picked up, blowing the metal grass around. Sonata looked down. Looked like any grass, knowing to tell where she was located. She looked up at the sky. Endless nothing. Just like her bank account, her house, her stuff, her sisters, her power, her whole life. Gone. With the sun settling around, it would be dark soon. The wind rose again, stronger this time. The faint music still coming from the phone's tiny speakers sounded hollow and feeble. Sonata was alone. She put a hoof to her chest. The feeling inside her. And that's where it ended.
That's where it ended?
It's where it ends.
Okay, that last thing about the winds. Do me a favor. Look up the lyrics for Don't Fear the Reaper. Actually, I'll do it.
I'll look it up.
I'm already on it. Don't Fear the Reaper lyrics. Give me a second. Show more. Oh, here we go. Then the door was opened and wind appeared. The candles blew and disappeared. The curtains flew and he appeared, saying, "Don't be afraid." So, the first line of that, the wind appeared.
Mm-hmm.
The wind and that seemingly appear out of nowhere, correct?
Yeah.
Boom. That's a reference.
So, Sonata's pretty much stripped of all this shit. And now death is
She's been taken by the Reaper, if you ask me.
So Sunset pretty much sent it to hell.
Play it. We can't really play it right now, for one. For two, copyright.
No, I mean, did Sunset sent them essentially to hell?
Like, somebody's saying play the song.
No, we can't.
I think. Yeah, we can't copyright.
But did Did Sunset essentially just send him to the afterlife or hell or even?
I
You think
believe
that's what
so.
happened?
I mean, they got sent to Equestria and then went straight to hell.
Probably.
I don't know how that happened, but stuff. I mean, they just rushed that ending, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah. Maybe there might be something more to this.
Mm-hmm. Like an epilogue or something.
Yeah.
Like, we never found out what happened to Twilight. Like, did she die, or?
Probably just injured. She'll probably be
The,
able to
the,
recover.
no, the way that she got injured, though. If untreated, is fatal. I believe. I'm not sure. Yes, it's
Oh.
famous. It was too abrupt.
And very vague. Maybe
Yep.
somebody has an idea.